I'm Myke Shrews,
And I'm Tivis,
and you're listening to
the Munster Cast.
Episode 3. Again, welcome everybody. I am Myke Shrews here with my co-host Tivis, and you are listening to the Munster Cast, the podcast where we watch the Munsters and talk about the episodes that we just watched, or movies, or whatever it is Munsters related, our thoughts and everything in between. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tivis, would you like to go on what episodes we're doing?
Well, I mean, anyone who's checking out we do have a video version, right?
Yes, we do.
All right. Just making sure, because if not, my wife's going to be pissed because she set last night setting this stuff up for me.
Yeah.
So that's really nice of her. And I'm going to have to leave it up through Halloween now because I'm not touching that.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, you could just leave it up year round. Just saying.
No, because I want to access my bookcase at some point.
That's why she did it. She wanted to cover up your bookcase.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today, man? Which episodes? What information you got right now?
Well, today the first one we're going to talk about is A Bye Munster, which aired October 15th, 1964, which, if you're listening to this the day it drops, is just 3 days removed from its 57th anniversary.
Dun, dun.
It's written by Joe Connolly, Bob Mosier, and Norm Liebman again, and directed by Norman Abbott, who, we're familiar with by now.
Mm-hmm. And this was episode 4 of the season 1, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So let me do a little quick synopsis that this website has for some reason. A Bye Munster. As Tivis said, October 15th, 1964, Herman and Grandpa eavesdrop on Lily and Marilyn and get the impression that Lily is pregnant, but the playmate who she is expecting for Eddie is just Dr. Dudley's son, Elmer. All right. So what do you got for me, man?
Well, we open on Herman and Grandpa watching TV in his lab.
Yes. We see a lot of Grandpa's lab. So
yeah, we do.
I loved it. I love it. I love the lab. Yeah, they're watching some it doesn't show what they're watching, but I'm assuming it was supposed to be a war movie or something from their reactions and the sound bites that we were getting. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. His TV seems to be weird. And does he mention, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Sorry about that. Did he mention to his bat, who is named Igor, did he mention Batman was on TV?
I
swear I heard that reference.
I think it was Batman. I couldn't tell what he said. He either said Batman or Bat something. A guy's name, maybe Battinson. I don't know, not Batson, but
this episode was a couple years before that show even started.
Well, I mean, they had the serial. Oh, that's a Superman serial. So,
well, there was
Batman serials.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, because the Adventures of Superman started before this, but
so I did like the little thing of Igor though. Again, perfect. Not animatronics, puppetry. I was gonna say animatronics. It's puppetry on there. You don't see any lines. Again, I didn't see any wires or anything. And again, I watched this on 4K, so yeah. I do love the fact that he calls him Igor, because as this show is progressing with this episode and the next one that we'll talk about too, it's showing Grandpa. I think Grandpa is Dr. Frankenstein. So
Yeah, there's a good. Well, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. Because yeah. Yeah. So Grandpa's like, yeah, that's what I'm getting from that. Anyways. In this
That-
episode, yes, they eavesdrop with the TV. For some
I was
reason,
gonna say,
the TV
Grandpa can spy on anyone.
yeah, he just like tune into the real world and you get like a sitcom style. It's WandaVision, man. You get the sitcom style show within
Where
their
things start
universe.
getting real.
Right. So that's very interesting. Grandpa's magic, man. Like I'm just curious, like, what are his limitations?
Yeah. So yeah, we get Lily and Marilyn talking
Mhm.
about there's going to be a I forget their exact words, but basically Herman thinks that Lily's pregnant.
They're getting a playmate for Eddie, is what it is. A new playmate for Eddie, and that he'll be here soon, and that he's they don't really they just say like random words to hint at a possible child when taken out of context, of course. And of course, Herman being Herman, although Grandpa should have, like, I don't know, Grandpa should have stopped that before it got more out of control.
As we go through these episodes, Grandpa's a little asshole.
Yeah, he kind of is. He's like, he's just chilling. He's been around for hundreds of years. He just doesn't give a crap.
No. I did make a note that the cat reappears here, which
yeah.
I'm wondering, is the cat Spot or Spike or whatever can it change into a cat?
No, because otherwise they probably would say his name, Spot.
Yeah.
They probably would call him Spot.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I didn't get that at all from the cat.
I didn't get it either, but I was just thinking, because it's like this.
We're interested. The last episode or the episode before, you were interested because you were like, "Are we ever going to see the cat again? Or is it just a one-time thing?" So, at least they gave you your cat, man.
Yeah, the weird lion roaring cat.
But yeah, they set it up. This is Dr. Dudley's nephew, correct? Or no, son. Dr. Dudley's son, Elmer.
Son or nephew,
is coming, which Marilyn babysits him. So that's the connection as to how they're getting this other child in their house and everything like that.
And Lily and Marilyn, we cut to them. They start looking around the kitchen for people hidden, and we find out that the Raven can apparently leave the clock.
Yep.
So, also, there's some kind of comment about Herman coming apart, that they put him back together, so he apparently can take his body parts. Yeah.
There's something later I'll bring up about that too. With Herman, so it's they just make. I think they're just those, like, the basic, because they're all dead jokes. They're all dead, so they're just making them. They make them throughout the series, I feel.
One of the places she looks for Eddie is in the stove, which shoots out fire.
Yeah,
and after, like, once we're leaving this scene, she puts a devil food cake in there and says to enjoy. Is that a portal to hell?
I have no idea. I don't know, man. This episode was really fun, though. I enjoyed this one.
It was.
So we get the whole child thing, and Herman thinks that he's having another baby. So pretty much throughout this entire episode, Herman starts acting like husband of the year or some shit, like and super chipper, and like really weird, just really weird, man. Like
was it the next one we got was them, Herman and Lily out on that balcony where the grandpa tried to kill their neighbor a couple episodes back by throwing that potted plant at him.
Yeah.
He's like, you got something to tell me? She's like, oh, I got a bundle of laundry I should put out for the rain.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's pouring down rain and they love the rain. And actually, I didn't hate that scene, man. Like I actually would want to sit out on that porch in the rain. I feel because no rain was coming into the porch. So you know this.
My grandparents had a porch that we used, like, I used to love sitting out there with them. You know, we wouldn't talk or much of any. We just, during thunderstorms, just sit out there and listen to it. It was so relaxing.
But yeah, so we're moving along with this episode, and basically the whole thing is Herman thinks he's getting a baby.
And her comments aren't helping, especially when she drops the doctor's contact card.
Yeah. Why does she have the card? I'm not sure what the point of that was for. But she also is now planning to get Herman his birthday present as well in this same week / episode.
Mm-hmm. Which I think some fans have derived that this would be his 114th birthday based on comments throughout the series.
Okay. 114th. We'll get more into Herman. As the episodes go, we start seeing how the family dynamic and everything works.
You know, I didn't notice this at first, but this is like one of the first episodes we get where they don't begin with a Frankenstein reference.
No, what did they start with? Well, I guess they started with
they were just watching TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Which a lot, especially the other one we're going to talk about today, you know, there's many references to what was it that last week? The one I really enjoyed with the Bills. There's a fire. Yeah, he's like freaking out. I love that scene so much.
So yeah, no. Lily is planning his birthday surprise present, which she decides to end up getting him a new car. And she goes to the car dealership, and you see the guy trying to do.
Well, before that, Herman and Grandpa goes to the doctor's house at 4 in the morning.
Yes, at 4 in the morning. He's like, "Oh, he should be fine. It's just 4 in the morning."
Yeah. We find out the doctor is extremely blind. Yeah. Which, do you know the doctor, the actor?
No, I didn't recognize him.
It's Paul. Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this last name. Lindy.
Okay.
He's Templeton in Charlotte's Web.
Okay. Voice.
He also,
right? Voice Charlotte.
Hey, he was also one of the many people to play Uncle Arthur in Bewitched.
You know what? I think that's where I recognized him from, was Bewitched. Yeah. Yeah.
They had, anyone who hasn't watched Bewitched, Uncle Arthur has like 3 actors who play him.
Yeah. And it's always like a crazy, kooky. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like him. But we're talking about this, not Bewitched. Maybe we'll talk about
all
Bewitched
that same era.
They should have done a crossover. Yeah, so he goes to the doctor's house. They're trying to get information. And basically the way everyone divulges information throughout this episode just keeps hinting at there being a baby. Well, not even, because no one ever actually says the word baby in this episode, except for Herman, I think. Herman and Grandpa. And
he's like, I'm going to be so happy to take him on. Yeah. So like they reference Herman's hairy hands as well, and Grandpa looks like a penguin, which I took that to mean 2 Batman references in the same episode. So
or he just looks like a penguin because,
which I can't disagree with.
Go on.
Oh, good. Well, I was going to say the hairy hands part.
Yes.
Do you think some of the body parts he has might be from a werewolf, which is how they ended up with Eddie?
So as we talk about the hairy hands, I think between this episode and the next one we talk about, they only give him furry hands when the storyline calls for it.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be one we talk about next week, I think, where they appear and disappear throughout the episode.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed it. I was like, wait, I didn't realize he had furry hands like that until they did like the close up. But then later in the next episode, in episode 5 that we'll talk about too, there's nothing. There's no hair at all. I was like, okay. So yeah, it's just like
he's like they referenced the first meeting with the doctor where he apparently passed out during the exam and also thought Herman brought his dog, which we'll get into next week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he thought he brought his dog, and then he thought he brought, what was Grandpa? He thought Grandpa was something else. Was it just the penguin?
Yeah, he kept calling him a penguin because he goes back in to talk to us. He's like, "Oh, that Lily's husband was here to visit us with his penguin."
Yeah,
he told you it was a person. It makes me. Are you a good doctor?
It's comedic element, man. Come on.
I'm also wondering. He doesn't seem to be feeling well. I wonder if he's delirious. He might. Yeah,
he ends up sleeping on the floor. He ends up going back and just laying on the floor.
Yeah,
like, oh, that's kind of lumpy. Like, wait, your carpet's lumpy now? What the heck?
Now we're at the car dealership.
Yes, now we're at the car dealership where you get the basic car salesman guy. He's trying to run the ringer.
Well, you missed something important here. The car pulls up with an invisible driver. Do we have an answer to the checkers player?
This is what I'm thinking. So I remember that I was in my notes as well. The Invisible Man returns, guys. Like the Invisible Man literally is returning. Now, is he their servant? Is the Invisible Man their servant? Is he like their thing? Like Adam's family has a thing.
I'm still leaning towards Grandpa having
mystical
someone
powers.
Staying with them. Yeah. Squatter. They have a squatter.
I think, yeah, it's interesting because you see it as all the other Universal monsters are in this show so far, or a variation, I should say, not them themselves. So it's like this has to be the Invisible Man or a reference to. I wonder that if later down the road they actually give the invisible thing a name, or if it's just supposed to be a ghost. So I don't know.
It was just interesting that we have another reference to
right within 4 episodes too. Like it's like the how much they divulge within the first 5 episodes that will because we're going to talk about episode 5 again today, guys. They give you so much breakdown of the family dynamic and the characters and stuff like that, which is really cool.
And there's a lot more consistency than we see with a lot of these old 60s, because most of them were, as we said before, serializations, but are not serializations. Is that the right word?
The what?
Where they're like standalone, don't really continue. They come up with a story. So, yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm not confusing the two, but there's a lot of actual continuity that carries on between these, which is, it shows that the writers care.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we get to the car dealership. She gets out, and not only does the car drive itself, but it gets out, whatever it is. This is why I think it's the Invisible Man. It gets out. You see the door
opens
open, her
door,
and then we get the camera going around the car to open her door, which is really cool. I was like, see, that's some detail right there that you're just not used to. Serialized TV would be what you're looking at.
All right, you're the
episodic.
Episodic.
There's episodic versus serialized. It's different. You're thinking of episodic, where each one is just repetitive. This.
Okay, so I didn't sound right in my head, but that's the word that, yeah.
You were confused.
You're the film guy. You should.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, that sounds right. And then I was like, wait. But yeah, episodic is more of the style of this. Usually most sitcoms fell into episodic.
Especially back then.
Yeah. Most of like Star Trek even fell into episodic until the recent stuff that they've been doing where it's a drawn out story and stuff like that.
But the salesman thrown for a loop at first, but then he immediately goes into pitch mode. Or he's like, oh, hey, look, I got this cool Model T.
Not only that, he's like, have I seen you in the movies? Trying to like butter her up and shit like that. Then he tried to pitch her on this this car. It's like $7,000, which I didn't do the calculations, but that seems like a lot of money in the 60s.
I wish I had but I didn't.
What year was it? 1964.
Yeah, he's like talking to her about this Model T, and he's like, oh, this is a great car. Then she turns around and sees a hearse behind the salesman.
He shows her the hot rod first.
Was it a hot rod? I thought it was a Model T.
It was a hot rod.
All right.
Yeah. He shows her the hot rod, and then
I'm not a cars person, people. So,
well, he says hot rod.
Doesn't he? I missed that.
A converted amount of $6,000 from then to now is about $64,000.
That's about a car.
Yeah, I guess that is right. That's a high-end car right now. Well, not a super high-end car, but
And that's why we buy used.
But yeah, he shows her the hot rod and she's into it. And then she notices this vintage. Well, I don't know how vintage it would have been back. It still would have been vintage in the 60s.
Yeah, it was like 1,000 more as well.
Yeah.
And this is okay. I once.
So the hearse was like 900 and something. And then the hot rod was like 7 something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was more money. And this guy, this is okay. He's a bad salesman, first off, because he immediately starts like trying to talk her out of buying the more expensive car.
Even though it's a hearse,
salesman. Yeah. Like I actually try to be a car salesman and then decided I hate people. And so it's like, why would you? No, if they're into it, you can make more. You get paid on commission mostly.
Yeah.
Just sell it. But she ends up buying both.
Yes. And she has them. She says that she wants them to do a
modification, but we don't hear what she says. She like whispers it.
Right. Which, I mean, if anyone's ever seen the show and then you see the two vehicles, you kind of
know where this is going.
Yeah. Then we go back to Herman, correct?
Yeah, Herman and Grandpa they're really getting along lately after their little spat with his experiments. They're coming in from working on the garden, which I looked at the bags and that's crabgrass and toadstool fertilizer.
Wow, that's funny. So shit, I can't think.
Lily calls and gets an update about the car, and as she's getting an update about it, Herman and Grandpa walk in on her midway through the conversation, sounding like she's talking about a baby again. And then she's like, makes a comment about, well, if he doesn't like it, we could trade it in. And Grandpa's like, I don't know if she's talking about a baby. And he's like, Herman goes, oh no, trust me, she's talking about a baby. Yeah.
Well, he knows, and she also is like, yeah, I know there's a 30-day warranty too. Like, oh, a man with a dead brain.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some hearse and stuff like that. It looks like the hearse that they probably had in there was from the 1920s. That they picked up for their car. I'm looking at a hearse right now from 1929, and it looks close to the same style, a little bit more retrofitted, but I feel the one that we saw in the show was from the 1920s as well. Maybe 1910s, if that makes sense. So about 100 years old from now to them.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, they do that, and then he gets himself all riled up about this whole baby situation again. And eventually the kid shows up.
Well, the next morning he makes breakfast for everyone, and he
Did
just
he do that before she got the car though.
Yeah, this is before. No,
Okay.
It's before the car shows up, and also
But
the kid.
after
This
he
is where
picked
he
it.
finds out that it'll be here around 9, and he's like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yeah, that's right. He's like, well, do we know when oh no, they go into the dining or living room or whatever, and he's like bringing her pickles and strawberries. And that's when he asks, she's like, well, I have something, and he's like, I already know. And he's like, I think it's a great idea for Eddie to have a playmate and all that.
That comes after this.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because this is where he's making pancakes, and he busts his arm through the window to grab some weeds and pull them in to give them to her. Which this dude is a force of destruction for this house. Throughout these episodes, he stomps his feet, causing an earthquake. Like,
well, you gotta think like how I'm so curious, and we'll dive into it later, I'm sure, because as we progress, I'm sure they'll show more. But like it was just like with the Addams Family, when I watched those movies and stuff like that growing up, I was like, how can they afford all this shit? Because they're always damaging their stuff. At least within the Addams Family, the movies from the 90s, they were like, oh, we're fucking filthy rich.
Oh yeah. And so, I believe it's next week we get a brief peek into what Herman actually does for a living.
Okay.
So we'll get to there when we get there, but
somebody's clearly watching ahead of time. But
I'm making all these notes. I find stuff out.
I'm giving I give it up to Fred Gwynn, the gentleman who played Herman. Dude, if he were still alive and young, he would be like would have been like the perfect person to play Batman in the 90s, because he does not bend his neck at all.
I actually haven't. I don't think it's this episode, but I do have a note, I think, for the next one that comments on that. I wonder if it's because he pops the bolts off his neck if he turns too much.
I think maybe if he bends down, the top is too heavy. And so when he bends his head down too much with his neck, it might rip the seam from the latex, which would pop it down. Because he is
very stiff. He turns with his shoulders, much like Keaton's Batman.
It might be a combination of many things. It might be Fred Gwynn just being a great actor and being like, no, this is what the character's going to do. But also the makeup, I feel, has a lot to do with it, because you can tell he's wearing a upper piece suit, and then like his brow piece like jets out a good 3-4 inches more. So you gotta think that much weight right there. Like, what did they use back then? Nowadays they just be like, here we go, we're gonna shove this here, or we're just gonna fix it in post. And this time they were just like, no, we're doing it right now, and that's it. But yeah, I love his elongated face, dude. I just love it. It's like perfect. If anyone's watching the video, I got a little bust of him, and it's just so perfect how elongated that he does it, especially whenever he makes a grumpy face or anything like that. It's just like, I can't even do it because my face is too fucking fat.
We see Eddie has a fire pole straight to the kitchen from, I'm assuming, his bedroom.
I don't know where it's from. It's just from upstairs somewhere.
And I have a little note here that when he comes down, he's covered in the cobwebs from the set. These actors are great at ignoring this stuff, because if I get anything on me, like anyone who's in a relationship with anyone with long hair, you know how annoying hair is, and it gets everywhere. If I get a little strand on me from my wife, I like immediately have to try to get it off of me. And so I have to give a shout out to their ability to ignore all this stuff all over them.
Right. Yeah, it's because there's cobwebs like everywhere and stuff. But a lot of it, is part of the character. So they were probably just like, yeah, especially with Herman. But let's get through this episode because I know we still have episode 5.
This scene ends with him calling his wife mother, which is creepy.
Mother.
And then we get him serving strawberries and pickles, which the pickles look like giant bread rolls to me.
Yeah, they didn't look like pickles. I was like, what?
Maybe it's all they could find in props.
And then he plays the organ, which just blows dust everywhere, really.
Yeah, he calls it a piano. It is an organ.
Yeah. Yeah. After this part, though, this is when the kid actually shows up and goes off and plays with Eddie. And they make remarks of like Eddie's ears. And then, Lily's like, oh, he doesn't have pointy enough ears and he's not as handsome as Eddie. I was like, that's just such a mother thing to say.
Herman also comes clean about spying on his wife, which she doesn't have a problem with.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, all right, whatever. Was it in the bathroom? Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, this must be where he found out that the kid is going to be there in a couple of days, because I have here, he's going to have a full-grown kid. He's like, boy, the advances of science.
Yeah. Yeah. Which they're very, yeah. Yeah. Okay. It was one of the stupid things, just, yeah. I'm sorry. I just keep saying it over.
As you said, they show up with the kid. Eddie pops up out of the cupboard again. Lily badmouths the kid.
Yeah. She just is like, yeah, he's not as handsome as Eddie or anything. I already said it, but it's like again, it's just such a motherly thing to do and say. And like I understand that they're trying to like diss this kid because he looks quote unquote normal or some shit like that. Which this whole episode, and let's get into like Herman meeting his quote unquote son. Let's do that. Let's get into that.
Eddie and Elmer, his name's Elmer, right?
Yes.
Like the glue.
Elmer. Yep.
Yeah. So they're playing with toys. Eddie doesn't think it's weird that the kid has a toy version of his dad, but they wind it up and let it walk around the living room, which Herman sees and immediately thinks is his kid, even though it's plastic, which, okay, fair enough. Your family's weird.
Might be tin actually back then.
Oh, 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks just
Grandpa
like
walks in
around. Grandpa even does. Grandpa just plays along. I think
Grandpa's an asshole.
I swear, Grandpa's like self-aware of everything that's going on, and he's just like, nah. We're going. I'm just gonna fuck with him. What's gonna happen?
So Eddie comes up. He's like, no, this is Elmer's toy. This is Elmer. Herman thinks the kid is ugly too and faints.
Yeah. So, and I want to bring this up because I'm going to keep bringing this up most likely. The quote that everybody lives upon from this show that Herman talks about, looks don't matter and everything like that.
You hear it at the end of our episodes.
You hear that every end of our podcast because it's a great quote. Totally great. This show only lives by that quote within the context of that one episode. And that's it. Honestly, I don't even think they in that episode, because I remember that episode. I've seen it many times, but I don't think they even live by that motto the entire episode, just for the ending part of it when he says the quote. So taken out of context, yeah, the quote is perfect, but in context of the entire show, they aren't living that. But it's still a great quote, people. Live by that quote. Please live by that quote. But yeah.
Apparently there's a sun exploding in the corner of my room. So Herman wakes up, finds out the kid isn't his, and then it's time for his birthday present.
Yes. And then we get the first ever appearance of the Munster coach.
which was built out of 1926 Ford Model T chassis. The hearse body was handmade. The interior is colored blood red, and the black is the outside is black pearl, which you can't see because black and white TV, but that's what it looks like. And you can actually see that car in well, actually, is it this car or a replica that Rob Zombie has?
I think it's a replica. I do not believe, we can look into it for sure. But I do not believe that it was the exact same car. I think he had his own Munster coach made, even though the song is called Dragula, which the Dragula is their drag racing car. But he has the Munster coach within it. Yeah.
No, they all, he's extremely excited. They decide to go for a ride. He gets in the back because there's a seat like way in the back, and his weight is incredible. So the fact that the car doesn't tip over is crazy.
Yeah.
And we end the episode with Elmer envious saying that the Munsters are neat.
Yeah. He's like, your parents are really cool. And he's like, and then Eddie's just like, yeah, I know. like what kid actually says that? No kid is gonna say that about their parents. Like, yeah, I know my parents are cool. Even if your parents are the coolest. Yeah, I know. No, you don't know. Oh yeah, so I really enjoyed that episode, man. It was I really enjoyed actually knowing where the Munster coach came from, because I never knew. I just thought they had the car all the time, but knowing that it was a mashup of in the universe anyways,
a hot rod and a hearse.
Yeah, it's really cool. Tim the Toolman Taylor would be proud to make something like that. So I never knew the origin of the car, and now that I do, I really dig that. I really do.
Oh yeah.
And I actually really do want to know if Rob Zombie made the replica, or if he was able to get the studio to loan him the car for the music video that he did back in the 90s.
Because I could see him getting the authentic one and then getting a replica afterwards.
Right.
You want to look that up while I go through the guests?
Yeah.
All right. So guests from this include Sid Melton as Diamond Jim, who we would know as a couple episodes on the Golden Girls, and Mr. Coach or Koch from Blossom. Meryl Lovell as Mrs. Dudley. Peter Robbins is Elmer, who any fan of the Peanuts, he is the original voice of Charlie Brown from 1963 to 1969.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And of course, we already talked about Paul Lynde, who is actually going to, they got him for 3 special appearances because I believe he was under contract with Bewitched. So,
okay.
Yeah, he'll be in 3 more episodes as we go along. So keep an eye out for him. The title is based on Rockabye Baby, the Lullaby, of course. And after this episode, this is not really important to the show, but I found it an interesting fact. We're looking at, because I'm watching a lot of these together. The Addams Family and Munsters switch days in the week. So it'll be Munsters, Addams, Gilligan's Island.
So if they want to watch them in order.
Yeah.
Tivis, don't give people that assignment.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm doing it. No one else has to.
Yeah. Apparently it doesn't, I'm not finding any information on whether or not it was or wasn't the actual car, but people are saying that it doesn't look like it because there are seats in the back of it.
Oh,
which is different.
Rob, Mr. Zombie, you're a big fan of the Munsters, so if you stumble across our show, we would love to chat with you.
Definitely. We can reach out on Twitter. Does he use Twitter? I don't even know.
I have no idea. Most sensible people don't.
Right. Speaking of, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, we're on Twitter now. Well, this entire time we've been on Twitter, but
all right. So let's dive into then episode
5.
Oh, 5. Yes. Was it
Pike's Peak?
Awesome.
Aired October 22nd. Written by Norm Lieberman and Ed Haas again. This time directed by Seymour Burns, who also directed the Jack Benny program, the Red Skeleton Hour, and 2 episodes of the Cosby Show. Or specials.
Watching Red
two Cosby
Skeleton.
specials.
Red Skeleton was fun. Did you ever watch?
No.
All right.
No, it's on my list though.
Yeah. All right. So Pike's Peak synopsis. Here we go. The city's gas department wants to run a pipeline 20 feet under the Munsters' house, where at that level it runs straight into Grandpa's laboratory.
I love this episode.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, then start talking. You talk first, man.
So
I
we
actually
open
don't
up.
have a lot of notes on this one. I have one note that I actually took down because everything else I was just like watching it, and I was like, "This is cool."
It was. We open again on another Frankenstein reference with Herman strapped to a table, groaning and trying to pull up, and we find out
Grandpa is Dr. Frankenstein. I'm telling you, bro.
We find out that he's down there because Grandpa's helping him with his sinus problems.
Yes.
Igor shows up once again to get in the way, basically. We find out that Grandpa's lab is 20 feet underground. 25 feet.
25 feet.
Yeah,
exactly.
25. And Herman complains about a draft. He's like, how is that possible?
Right. And then once Grandpa says, we're 25 feet underground, nothing is getting here. And then we jump cut to
the city hall.
Station. Yeah. Or
is it the gas
people.
station? Or
it's the gas people, whoever runs the gas department. Yeah. And then they're talking about how they need to go. For some reason, they need to go right through their property. They can't just go up and around, like
it would cost a lot more money. But they need to complete the last 60 feet of a pipeline that goes directly under their property. And I'm wondering, like, is this like a flashback? And then we find out, yes, it was a flashback, because pretty much immediately after that, we see the workers going into the sewer and
just
busting through the wall with Herman and Grandpa down there, scaring everyone involved. One of the guys pops up out of the ground. Well, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but
you're right. You're right. Because they bust through after that, and they see, because we're running short on time anyway. But they bust through. The one dude guy gets up out of the manhole and grabs all the stuff around him. They don't cover the manhole. The manhole cover is just sitting on the ground. Manhole, sewer, whatever you gotta call it, people. And then the other dude just groundhogs it, pops out of the freaking grass.
He dug his way to the surface.
Yeah, and then they bolt it back. And then one guy, dude falls off the truck. I wonder if he was supposed to fall off the truck or if he accidentally fell off the truck. And they just,
I was getting a lot of Benny Hill stuff from this scene.
Yeah. But
can we backtrack a little bit? Because we don't have to go into Grandpa's remedies for Herman, but there's a lady living in the bucket of soap in Grandpa's lab. And he's like, I told you not, to wait somewhere else. Is that his new wife?
Or a part of his wife?
Yeah.
We only see an arm, or like a forearm, pretty much, and a hand.
And where was she supposed to be hiding? If it's not there?
Grandpa's just a weird, kooky old grandpa.
Then we get back to the city hall or the gas people, whatever it is. And the guy's telling him, like, we can't, like, there's monsters living in this place. I'm not going back. He's like, oh, they're just putting on a show to scare you. So he's like, I'm going to go deal with them myself. That's when his wife calls and accuses him of cheating with his mom. That was
Yeah,
weird.
it was weird. She was like, she accuses him of cheating with everybody. And then he was like, but I was out. Of course, I was out with a woman the other day. It was my mom. she's like,
She can't help that she's a woman.
she can't help this. Fine, I'll talk to her about it. I'm like, talk to her about what? What are we talking to her about? Is she getting like she can't be a woman now? It was so weird.
It's so
that
weird.
character reminded me of somebody that like who is it? J.K. Simmons would play nowadays.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw him, I was like, damn, I could see that.
So we get him going to the Munsters' house. He's looking around like, man, they're really trying with this stuff. He knocks on the door, and Spike is apparently behind the door.
Yep.
They call Grandpa the Count in this scene. So is he Dracula?
They've called him Count in I think it was the first episode as well, that they called him Count. And I he has to be Dracula and Dr. Frankenstein at the same time.
They invite him. We're going a bit fast with this because there's more stuff that happens later in the episode, but they invite him in. Herman offers him to sit down, and as he picks up the couch, if you look at the wall, you can actually see the shadow of the forklift they used. Just a little goof there if anyone wants to find it. We continue into them talking about, hey, look, we need to put this pipeline down to help, the neighborhood out. What the fuck is that over there? And it's a child playing with a giant rat trap. That's weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. Even for like Eddie, I was like, wait, what? Where are they trying to catch?
Apparently rats, but they must have some really giant mice.
Where's it?
So yeah, Grandpa talks. He doesn't want people digging up around the house because they don't know who they'll find. Is Grandpa burying people around the house?
Dude, probably his victim.
Is he a bad person?
I think Grandpa's a massively bad person. Like he's horrible. He's a horrible person.
And I have a note here to look up this word degradation. Do you know it?
Degradation?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head.
The condition or process of degrading or being degraded.
Okay.
So Herman mentions that. So I thought I'd make a note of it. Herman's all for getting this pipeline put down because he's like, it's for the neighbors. You do what's right for the people around you.
And he's also trying to be like the man of the house at the moment too.
Yeah.
Like, fuck Grandpa. Grandpa made my electric bill go up a couple episodes ago.
Even though they were just buddy. So Grandpa throws a fit, turns into a bat, and flies upstairs, which if you look at that scene, you can actually see the actor in the corner, like hunching.
Yeah.
Because the smoke dissipated too fast for him to get out of frame.
Nice.
At this point, Mr. Pike just bolts. He's out of there.
Yeah, he gets back. And what does he do when he goes back? Oh, he goes home. He ends up going home.
Yeah.
And later down the road, like they have the back and forth at home. And eventually Herman calls him on his personal line somehow. Yeah,
he somehow has their house phone number.
And then the guy answers, they're talking, and his wife is like, who is she?
He's like, oh, just you wait. You'll see.
I'm glad that stupid like gag of like the guy supposedly is cheating, but he's totally not, and it's just a woman being insecure. I'm so glad that gag still works today because if they've been doing it since the 60s. I mean, like, when did they start doing that gag? Like, it had to be sometime back in the probably 40s or 50s.
I think it's
You had that
always been
whole,
a
like,
thing.
You had like more of the characters of like the housewife characters for the in the 50s and shit like that. So
Yeah.
Lucy never was insecure. Come on, women.
No. If anything, what's his name was more insecure because she was
Ricky?
constantly getting in trouble. Wait, what is your
Lucy?
scheme this week? God, those two were like the original Pinky and the Brain almost. What are we gonna do today? I don't know, but we're gonna do something horrible.
Yeah. So yeah, he's talking to him. He's gonna say he's going to bring the contract over or sign the contract. Is that what it was? And
yeah, he's gonna go over and sign the contract.
That's what it is. Yeah. And then he's like, well, no, don't do that. And then his wife keeps nagging him. He's like, yes, do it, please.
So he's clearly wanting to scare his wife.
Yeah. He's an asshole, by the way.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh God.
There's a lot of assholes in this show.
Lily is busy treating Eddie's nose because the rat trap went off and hit him in the face. Grandpa's just hanging in the living room out of protest.
Yeah.
And Meryl offers to go to Pike's house instead, which I'm sure we can all guess where this is going.
Where's it going?
Meryl goes and Mr. Pike's wife, Fanny, opens the door to, a good looking woman, which is her greatest fear.
Yeah.
Slams the door and she immediately starts just punching Pike. He's like, oh, who was at the door? You know who it was. He's confused. But
And then we find out, or no, then Herman ends up calling again.
Yeah, he's furious at how they treated his niece.
And he threatens Pike that he's going to come over and punch him in the face.
He's breaking everything. He breaks the table. He breaks the phone.
Yeah. And then so he ends up going out there anyways. And the woman or so we're back in Pike's house.
Yeah, Fanny's got everything packed. She's ready to leave.
Yeah. And she hears the door knocking and he's like, oh, it's him. He's coming here to hurt us. He's coming here to get me.
It's her.
And she's like, it's her, or it's him, and she's like, it's her. It's like the comedic timing on these episodes, man, is like beat for beat perfect. Like I wish some shows nowadays would get some comedic elements or comedic timing down like this does, for sure. Again, I might just be saying that because I'm giving it leeway because it's an older show too. Who knows? But I do feel the comedic timing is perfect. And then he hides behind the door as she fucking walks.
She opens it.
Door.
Herman's there getting ready to punch.
Does she have like a golf club? Is that what she had, right? Or is it like
she grabbed his golf because he was playing golf waiting for Herman to work because he's like, you're gonna be shocked when you see who it is.
Yeah, and he just hides behind the door and she grabs the golf club, walks to the door, opens it, and Herman's there, like you said, with the balled up fist about to knock him out.
He's shocked.
Like, oh shit!
She's shocked. She faints, and then cut.
Before that, who's shocked first? You get Herman shocked, and then the golf club is shocked and just like
the golf club
down. And then she ends up fainting. It's perfect.
Then we cut back to the Munsters. Herman has his nose covered like Eddie.
So they do these random things. I've noticed that they just cut when the scene is like left to a point where you're like, what's going to happen? Or how are they going to work themselves out of this corner? They just cut. And then like, it's somebody telling the story. Like, wait, so we don't get to see that.
Herman's telling what happened, Lily makes a comment that it's raining again, and Grandpa says you're welcome. Is Grandpa making it rain? But that's beside the point.
Totally think so. Except for later in the episode, he doesn't make it rain again. So I'm so oh, man.
So we get into Herman's story finally.
I real quick, I do wonder how much of this stuff like Al Lewis ended up like just improving on it. Yeah. So she's like, you're welcome.
I can believe a lot. He was pretty. He's good.
Yeah. Al Lewis, for people who don't know, is the guy who played Grandpa. Sorry. And yeah, so go ahead and you finish out this story area.
Herman keeps getting interrupted trying to tell his story. He's like, so Mr. Pike punched me because he thought I attacked his wife, which is completely, understandable.
Right.
But it hurt. And I'm like, oh, wow. Someone actually got brave enough to stand up, not run from him.
Well, I mean, he thought he punched his wife. So that's 100% a perfect reason for a man to stand. Well, anybody to stand up.
And this is where the show like takes a giant turn with Mr. Pike. And I actually don't think he's as much of an asshole now.
Yeah.
We hear someone knocking on the door. So they answer. No one's there. Mr. Pike comes peeking out from behind a tree with a white flag. Like, true? Herman's hitting back like, are you going to hit me again?
Yeah. So they run out. And as you're saying, he runs out. They all run out. The whole family runs out there. So I'd be worried because I would get like, I see these people running out to their front porch like that. I don't think I'd be coming up on their property. No, I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know what families do.
And the fact that Herman's just a little scared of this, gas company executive is hilarious to me.
So while they're outside, Herman like holds his nose once. Yeah. And the bandage like just comes off.
It comes off, and
he puts it back on, and then it just falls off. Do you think that was a mess up? Do you think it just couldn't stick back? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, he probably just couldn't get it back on because like he does have limited mobility too with like his arms, and he probably can't also see directly.
The director was probably just get it.
He's like, we'll cut it. Who cares?
So there's a little back and forth where Mr. Pike's like, you saved our marriage. Like, I don't know what
before that, Grandpa transmorphs into.
Well, it was during this because Herman's like, we'll absolutely sign this. And he turns into a wolf and tries to attack Mr. Pike.
What is that called? Transmogrification? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, something like that. Transforms.
Animorphs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Transformers into a wolf.
In this episode, we finally you see Grandpa having even more Dracula powers, turning into a bat, turning into a werewolf, or turning into a wolf. Sorry. So I wonder, is he the wolf that bit Eddie?
Yeah, maybe.
Bro,
I'm still wondering Grandpa about the hairy hands.
Grandpa is horrible, man.
But
at the end of the show, Grandpa is going to be the biggest villain.
Oh God, he's
episode 4, and he's already episode 5, and he just looks like no.
He lunges at Mr. Pike as a wolf, misses because he's not wearing his contacts. Herman's like, Grandpa, look, the house we all voted. We're doing this. You're like this. These are his exact words. He's like, learn when you're beaten.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, fine. So Mr. Pike finally brings the contract, hands Herman the pen. Herman electrifies the pen and it blows
Grandpa
up.
Does it?
That's what I was wondering. Did Grandpa do it?
They show a shot right before where Grandpa did something with his hands over the paper, and Grandpa electrocuted the pen like it's like a mechanical device. I'm like, it should still, there's ink guys.
Yeah.
That's not those pens are. That's not how that works. But okay.
Grandpa's like, here, you can use my pen. Which why is no one in this family suspicious yet?
Right.
He is not a good person.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
And so Herman signs it. The guy's great. He gives them the $1,500 check because we forgot that they were going to pay them $1,500 to go through the 25 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So then they go inside the house, and he dips out.
Here's a quote from Grandpa, or from Herman. It's nice to know as we go through life, we can bring a little happiness to others.
Yes.
I really like that, so I wrote it down.
So let's just put this out here. The equivalent of $1,500 from the 60s to now is $13,000 that they were paying him to run a pipeline through their property. Through Grandpa's lab. Grandpa could have built his own freaking building for that much on the property and had his own inside separate lab. Why are we not doing that?
So while we get this, they're Herman sitting on the stairs. Lily gets a call from the neighbor where they find out Pike gypped them.
Yeah.
They gave more money to the neighbors, but then a second check falls out with a letter.
So they gave $3,500 to each neighbor that they went through.
Yeah.
How did they find that out? I forget.
Lily got a call from one of the neighbors.
Okay. And the neighbor told them. But yeah, then they get a $5,000 check from Pike himself. I think I don't think it's from the company,
it's just from Pike.
That equivalates to $46,000 today. So he just got. Where does he have this kind of money, man?
He works at a gas company. He's a guy.
Oh yeah, they're ripping everybody off.
Yeah. He's got a letter again explaining. You saved our marriage. I can't thank you enough. Like this is for my gratitude to you.
Yeah.
And then Grandpa's like, oh, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm like, yeah, because you are.
Yeah, you are. That's
the pen was disappearing ink.
We only feel like what we are, Grandpa.
So they gather around Grandpa's crystal ball to look into the meeting with the mayor.
Which, again, a crystal ball?
Who had a TV?
I swear, I think Grandpa stole powers from his ex-wives. And that's why he's Highlander, dude. He just takes their powers.
So they look in. The mayor is ringing Mr. Pike a new one. It's like, what is going? He's like, but I was there. I watched him do it. So Grandpa makes ink appear, signing Herman's signature, which no one comments that he knows what Herman's signature looks like and can replicate it.
Well, but I don't think that was necessarily that. I think it was that he made the disappearing ink kind of just finally just show up, maybe.
I thought at first too, but then
or the invisible man was there and he just signed it.
Maybe with his invisible pen. So the Mr. Pike and the mayor are staring at it as it's appearing, and they're like, okay, yeah, all right, sure. And, they cut back to the family like, Grandpa, how did you do that? I had my ways. That's like the last shot.
Yeah, that's the last shot. So all right, let's do final thoughts on this episode then. Did we do final thoughts on episode 4?
No, we didn't. Did you like episode 4?
I liked episode 4. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really liked them giving the car and showing the actual car rather than the car just showing up.
I liked how they integrated it into a plot for the episode.
Yeah. And it makes sense within the world when the rest of their family doesn't make sense, but still.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part of it for sure. And the whole, like I said, I will not stop praising this as long as the comedic timing continues as it has through these first 5 episodes. I really enjoy that. With episode 5, I really enjoyed the whole comedy of everything from the guys bolting it and doing the groundhog thing out of the ground and falling off the truck or anything. And then like everything with Pike and his wife and all that stuff is it was just perfect. I really enjoyed both of these episodes. To me, were probably two of my favorite that we've watched of the four we've watched so far.
Yeah.
But still, I really enjoy, or five. Yes, sorry. I really enjoyed them. How about you, man?
Oh, dude, I really enjoyed this one with the gas company. Just the comedy elements. The Grandpa's a piece of shit, and I love it. Like I can't get enough of it. It's some really great messaging. You know, like do what's right for your neighborhood. Like even if it's at your expense, it's you should. It's just a nice thing to do.
It's your neighborhood. You live there. Take care of it.
Mm-hmm. And my grandparents were big about that.
I'm not sure running a pipeline through your neighborhood is also a great thing, but I get the
fair, not anyone's
house.
No one's else house goes that far down.
Maybe that was the agenda of the gas companies in the 60s to let people just run pipelines through their shit.
It could be.
And they were just like, hey, put this in your episode and make it look cool.
But this episode resonated with me because of those messaging, because my grandparents were big about community. They lived in a small, it wasn't even called a town. It was small enough to be a village.
Okay.
And they came up with like festivals because they believed and a lot of things support this. The best you could do for your community is give people stuff to do to interact with each other and get to know each other.
Yeah. A lot of people have gone away from that, so it sucks. I like I said, I really enjoyed these, and I'm still enjoying the show, which is awesome. 5 episods in. There's 30 some episodes in first season, so we still got a ways to go just with the first season. Any last words for me, man?
Just the guests. We got Richard Deacon, who has been in, you might remember him from he was the border T Pike. He was in Leave It to Beaver. He played Earl Lynn in Piranha, and he also appeared in Beverly Hillbillies. Jane Withers as Fanny Pike. Pat Harrington Jr. as Sonny Harkness. A lot of people may remember him because he was in Hot in Cleveland, King of Queens, and Kirk.
Okay.
He played Stan Lee in Kirk, actually.
Oh.
Henry Hunter as the mayor, and Joe Brooks as first worker.
Was the first worker the guy who popped out of the ground then, or?
I don't know, but he played Santa in Gremlins, and was also Visor in the Batman Adam West show. Nice. Yeah.
Awesome. It's nice to see all these guys coming together and stuff from all these old shows.
Oh, yeah. You already did the conversion for inflation, so I don't have to do that. The title is actually a parody of the mountain Pikes Peak, which is 10 miles west of Colorado Springs, which was named for Zebulon Pike, who was an explorer who did an expedition to southern Colorado in 1806. So it's a very, that's a claw in my stomach. That is a very unique, joke.
Yeah.
They're very area specific. And
awesome.
The magazine that Maryland picks up is called Tomb and Garden, which was probably a parody of House and Garden or HG magazine, which launched in 1901.
Home and Garden is what it's called now, right?
HG. The magazine is done, but it's TV station still.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it's not a station, a TV channel. Yeah.
No, they still do shows and shit like that. That's what it is.
Yeah, the HG network or whatever.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah.
I swear that they still do a magazine.
No, it went out of print again.
Oh, there's a new one. There's Better Home and Gardens magazine, and then
it came back.
Yeah, it's just called Better. It's better for you. Anyways,
my spotlight this week is going to be on Butch Patrick, the guy who plays Eddie. He was born August 2nd, 1953. His first acting role was uncredited as Bobby in the Detectives TV series. His first credited was as Billy Davis in The Two Little Bears. His most recent appearance is as Eddie Munster in TV Therapy, which I've not heard of, but now I've got to go find. He currently has 3 things filming at this time, and he's the first time producing one of them.
Interesting.
See, he recorded the song Whatever Happened to Eddie, which you can find on YouTube. It's a catchy little thing to the Munsters theme. And he also came back in the 90s with Jimmy Walker and Evel Knievel for some Little Caesars commercials.
Okay.
Which, did you watch those?
No, I did not.
Damn. All right.
I'll
Never mind.
Find them on YouTube and check them out then.
I sent them to you.
Did you?
Yes, those are the things I said. Hey, watch these.
Oh, you know what? I didn't watch those.
That's all right.
I told you I would, and I totally forgot. All right. All right. So, any more words, man? Any last closing thing?
These were a fun couple episodes.
Awesome. With that all said, guys, we will catch you next time we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird
The
Lane.
lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.